I met him when I was 23 at a friend's birthday dinner. He was charming and intense in a way I mistook for depth. He had strong opinions, a dark sense of humor, and a way of making me feel like the most interesting person in the room, at least in the beginning. Within a few months, I had convinced myself that whatever roughness existed in him was just the surface layer over something extraordinary waiting to be drawn out. That was the story I told myself, and I clung to it for nearly 4 years. The pattern started small. He would cancel plans at the last minute, and I would tell myself he was overwhelmed. He would say something dismissive when I was upset, and I would reframe it as him not knowing how to handle emotion. He rarely showed up for things that mattered to me, and I told myself that was just how he expressed love differently than I expected, but still love. I became an expert at translating his behavior into something more flattering than it was. I read books about attachment styles and anxious avoidant dynamics. I adjusted how I communicated, lowered what I asked for, and worked harder to make the relationship feel like what I imagined it could be. I told myself I was being patient and mature. Looking back, I was disappearing. I stopped mentioning certain topics because they caused friction. I stopped inviting him to things where I knew he would be disengaged. I started measuring my happiness not by how the relationship actually felt, but by how much worse it had been last month. The relationship ended when he ended it, which in a strange way was the most clarifying thing he ever did for me. I was devastated for weeks. Then, slowly, something strange happened. I started feeling like myself again in ways I had not noticed I had stopped. I started saying what I actually thought. I started making plans based on what I wanted. I went to therapy, and about 3 months in, my therapist asked me a question I still think about. When did you decide that loving someone meant making yourself smaller? I did not have an answer, but I started looking for one. At 28, I finally understood the difference between loving someone and fixing them. Loving someone means accepting who they actually are today, not the version you believe they could become with enough of your patience and energy. Real love does not require you to shrink. It does not ask you to translate. It does not make you an expert in someone else's avoidance at the expense of your own needs. I have been in a healthy relationship for 2 years now, and the most striking thing about it is how uncomplicated it feels. Not because there are no hard moments, but because neither of us is a project the other is trying to complete.